So yesterday we were able to fetch all the records from this employee table. Uh, we don't have the table yet. MySQL Workbench. So it was a GET API which we triggered from front end, and we were able to fetch records from this employee table. This is a table, and if we execute the query, so these are the records. Okay, so if I execute this page again, it's all returning. So I can write um, local host colon 4200, and if enter, oh, this is not coming. What happened? Did I change something here on shell page, or we have an error? What happened? I think backend is down. Yep, sorry, backend is down. Okay, so here we are. Let's run the Spring Boot application as well. Run as application, core Java application. Okay, so application is up. Let's reload the page, and yeah, we are able to fetch records from database. Okay, fine. So this was get request, but it is not coming in tabular structure, right? What if I want to fetch all records? Correct? I want to fetch all records in a tabular structure. So how we can do that? So for that we need to write one HTML tag in our code. So let's do that first. Then we will write remaining API calls. So we'll go back to HTML file, and this is how we will also understand how to write some more tags in HTML. It will give you idea. So before next week onwards, we have to start HTML. Okay. So what I'll do, I created one HR for this row. Now let's create one header. I'll say employee data. Okay, then I'll start with a table tag. So table tag, then inside the table tag. Okay, so inside the table tag, we have to create two sections. One is for head, and next for T body. Okay, it is done. Just a minute. Okay, so what we just did, we have divided our table into two sections. One is for header part, and second for column or the data, that is body. So header is for all the columns names. So what column we are expecting? So you can see here we have ID, age, email, and name. Okay, fine. So I'll create header names by writing th for table header or heading. So first is ID, fine. Then accordingly we will create other rows, column, sorry. So ID, name, age, small g, and email. So what we just did, we have added column names. Now we have to insert the data. So we are going to use again that loop. So how to do that? We have one tag inside tr, table row, and here we have to add certain data. So td is for table data. And how many rows we are expecting? 4 rows,
Or
right? So I'll create them 4 times. Or let's create one and then I'll copy paste. That'll be easy for me. So here I have to run that loop. So it goes asterisk ng for then equals. Now thing is how to fetch that data. We already have written one endpoint, this, and what does it do? It initializes this variable emps. We just fetched emp names on our HTML page. There it is. See, you can follow the same syntax. Ng for let e and emps. So what we just fetching e dot name. But definitely we can fetch all other fields as well if they are coming in a response. So yeah, they are already there. So let's say same e of emps, and now I'll create same interpolation, and say e dot id, and now I can copy paste these things. Name, then age, email. So these are the fields coming in response. So I just saved it. Let's see how our UI looks like. And yeah, it's coming. But we don't have any border, so it looks ugly. So we can create border as well on root tag or table tag. Here we can say border of 1 pixels. Save, and there we go. See, we are able to fetch records, right? So that's the beauty of UI. If you have the object, you can run a loop on it and you can fetch the records. And we have records everywhere in our record. So that's how we fetch records by using a loop. The only condition is you should have a data. So yesterday when we executed our code, so this constructor call was doing that part. So as soon as this component goes on, it calls this API and fetches everything. So that's why when we reload, it calls API and fetches everything, and simultaneously it fetches and insert that data into the column. Okay, so this was about how to fetch records. So everything was already there. We just use the existing code. But let me pick this image for reference what we did here. So first of all, we needed a component which is actually calling API, and that API is called from here, that service file. Okay, and then we wrote a HTML file, HTML tags basically inside HTML file here. So if everything was fine, our data or output looks like this. This is our response. Okay, so we need the file names as well. Oops, wrong project. So what we started with, service file I can take. This is service name. Okay. Then next is all EMP component. Okay. And then finally the HTML page. This is our output. Okay, cool. So it's working. Nice. Next, let's create post API. Fine. So from web page, we will insert record, and we are going to use Angular for that again. So everything is ready for us. Let's start with the backend code. So we already have a API post. There it is. So have a look. This is how it looks like, and just verify what it takes in in argument. So it takes one employee view object which has ID, name, email, age, and message we just taken, but it's not required at all. But we can work with this. Even think about, we are going to insert one record. Insert is auto generated. I mean the ID is auto generated while you're inserting record. So from front end, we are required to send only name, email, age in our data. So that we will see how to send it. But for now, our backend API is ready. So I copied this. There we are. So that's a backend API for post request. How about inserting records? Okay. So this is already there. So that's good. Next, we have to verify our service file, because here we have to write the endpoint. Now have a look. This endpoint is same. If you check the all employee record, so what it has, get mapping and slash emp. What it has, post mapping and slash emp. That means it's same. We don't have to do something new. So it's already there. That means if I go back to my service layer on front end, I don't have to create a new variable. Even this API is unique or general, so I can use emp API URL. So this can be shared among multiple calls, and I can just replace it from this one. And now it is more generic. It's for EMP API. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy this method. It was get all employees. I'll say save employee this time. Save employee. And definitely when you are saving, you need to pass some data, right? You have to give data when you are saying, okay, save my record. So that we need to do. So I'll pass one argument into this function. So I'm not sure what it would type. So I'll say data any. And this goes change. Now it is no more get. It's going to be post. So http dot post is here. So first of all, we have to pass the URL. This remains same because it's EMP API URL. I'll put a comma and pass data. And I missed this thing. Colon. Okay. So data colon any. And see, our first part is ready. We have this function which will go to backend, and we have given the path here, localhost 8080 EMP. How it knows that is a post request from this http.post, and that's how we are sending data. But still, we haven't passed the data yet, so we have to do certain things. So function is ready for saving. Now we have to go back from where we have to call it. So that's this TS. Okay, and even we have to create a form. So let's do one thing. I'll use the same page, but I'll create a different form with different names. So it's going to be kind of a revision of reactive forms. Okay, so I just created one more HR tag. Okay, and we have this page. Okay, there it is. So I can copy this code, go back to my which file mp here. I'll paste it. Okay, now watch closely. I'm not going to do that validation again. You already have idea how to do that. We did this in previous classes, so I'm going to remove only validation part. So this span will go away. I'll remove this one, then this one, and this one. So because validation will take extra code and you might get confused, so I'm just removing all the validation part. A simple form which will take data and insert record. Now we have to change things because we have already used login form in our previous code. So let's change it because even it's not even login form. It says EMP form will be better. The EMP form, and accordingly I'll say not login, save EMP. Okay, that's my function name. Fine. Now need to change the variable name because we don't need ID, but we need age, name, email. So placeholder it's going to be enter age, and it's going to be age. Okay, fine. Next is name. No user, it just name. Okay, it will be enter name. Next, it's going to be email. So we have a type email. We can also use that. It will be enter email and email. So you have to make sure that whatever name you're giving here, form control name, sorry. So you have to use the same on other side as well. Other side means TS file. Okay, so I can go back. First of all, let me create this function on TS file. There it is. It's going to be empty for now. We'll fill it later. And we have to create those form control. So we already have that code in our TS file. This thing I need it. So I'll copy this part. We'll go back to again the TS file. Just some saving time because it's a repetitive code. I don't need to write it again. You already know what's happening here. So I need this. I need to remove or replace this login form with EMP form. Why? Because we have now EMP form mapped with form group. So I copied it. Going back, now it's become EMP form, and definitely I need to import the form group from Angular form. So need to go back to TS file, copy this line, the import line, and come back to my file and paste it. Okay, it's become EMP form. Now accordingly change, and again I don't need validation, so let's remove this. Why I'm removing validation? So code looks simpler and you can focus on API call, not on validation part. Okay, first variable was age. So age, name, email. So we have three variables attached with emp form, and definitely we need to create its set getters. So let's go back to reactive form page and coming back here, and I'll create three getters. It will be get age, get name, get email. I'll reproduce the same. It's emp form, not login form. Is paste. It is age, name, email. Okay, so what we just did, we have created getters, so it can be binded with the form. So age, name, email is great, and we have connected with our HTML file. We can close this native file. MP. Okay, now we have to connect with save emp. So just to validate whether it is taking data or not, let's verify it by going to same ts file, and here I'll just say console dot log, and I'll just print the form data, all emp form data. So before sending it to backend, let's verify whether we are able to fetch data from form or not. That's what we want. So here uh, we have this emp form, so I can say dot value and semicolon. Okay, so no error, everything looks fine, compiled successfully. Let's go back to the form. There it is, form. Let's clear console and going to, oh, it's not login, it is save. Okay, so let's say age 12, aim j j at gmail.com, and if I save, yep, I can see my data is coming up. See, age has a value, email and name has a value. Great. So we are able to fetch data when we click save. Now we have to bind this data and forward it to where? To the backend. That's the idea. Okay.
Hmm.
So here you have to very critical. I mean, this is one critical part when beginners are doing this. The critical part is you have to make sure the variable name here. This is our endpoint, and it is taking employee view as an object. That is fine. But if you open the class, it has name, uh, email, and age. So you have to make sure that you are passing same variable name from front end as well. Okay, and that I did. I have followed the same convention, and you can see my form control name was age, name, and email. And when I click save, so it goes in an object. If you notice, this is an object. An object has three variables. If you see curly braces, that means it's an object. An object has three variables: age, name, and email. Uh, so okay, looks fine to me. So we can do what? We can go back to our TS file. After console log, I can call that function. So it's going to be simple like we did earlier, like this. Employee data, and that further we can carry forward with the code. So it goes like emp data dot save employee, and you have to pass the whole object same way, emp form dot value. That's it. And then you have to subscribe and say give me the response. If anything is coming from backend, we can hold it, create an arrow, and then bracket close. We missed one bracket, I guess. Yeah. After subscribe, you have to create two brackets. Okay. And if it goes inside, I can print one message, a simple message that emp is saved, that employee is saved. He saved.
So the equal to or greater than that is the part of code, right? Yeah, that's
This one? Ha, yeah, right. That's one of the syntax. So every
yes.
time you call an API, that's how it works. Dot subscribe, and when it's subscribe, that means we are calling the endpoint. And if we are inside this part, after the second bracket starts, so it means
Hmm.
we got the response. That means API is already triggered. So subscribe makes sure that your API, like it's an kind of a what you call that threaded call, multi-threaded call, which goes and comes back with a response. Subscribe make sure that you get the response on time. Okay, so this looks done from my side, and let's see if can we. Get this API in execution code. Okay, so let's get some data. This is 23. Say j@gmail.com. Okay, going to click save. Oh, it says employee saved. Nice. Let's go back to database. Going to refresh and see it's working. Everything is at
Okay.
right place. Age is there, name is email and the name. Okay, and if you can see we have this old data on this table. Okay, so if I refresh or reload, next record is there, right? So we can see data is coming also here. But you have to
Mm.
refresh it because it only works when you are reloading it. And there you can see the list of users. So we are able to save record in database. Clear? And
Yeah.
it was simple if you have done the yesterday's class. Practiced, I mean. Okay, so we are able to save record as well. That's great. Now, what if I want to uh, delete record, right? I want to, let's say, delete one record. So how we can do that? So let's do this again. So first thing is we have to go back to employee data service and we have to make sure we have endpoint or not. So let's go back to first of all backend side. Oh, we haven't created delete here. See, we don't have delete. Okay, let's create that endpoint first. Oh, even before that, otherwise we will forget that. So to get this post mapping working, we created what? Let's put this on paint. So copy this. So after having that confirming post API, we have created one endpoint and it was save employee here. And then after we made sure that we are calling it properly, but before that we've also created a form. So this form is required, only then you can pass data from front end to back end. Okay, there it is. And then we created a TS file to connect the call. So because it was a reactive form, so you have to create a form group which can bind your form data to that object. Okay, so we did this first of all in that file and then created the bottom part. This thing, I don't think we can put everything on paint. Okay, I have an idea. Okay, okay, this goes here and okay, fine. Okay, so we have actually four pages here. First page is data service, this one. Okay, then next one is employee. Did I did yes, I made a mistake here. This place API and we have to add form. I missed this part. Okay, and this was our TS file, the main TS file. This one. Okay, yep, and it is working. So let's wrap these files. This is one file. This is another file. So many black boxes. This, this. So we achieved here post mapping. Okay, fine. Let's move to next topic, that is delete. See, I'm leaving that update for you. Practice out and try your best to complete that put request. Okay, that's your homework. So Try from your end how to create post request. Sorry, put request. I'm writing here as well. Try put request. Okay, fine. Now, but we are lacking that API at even backend side. So let's stop this. It's already stopped. So I'm going to create an endpoint. Do you remember or you forgot how to create endpoints? Kiran?
Mm,
Okay. So whenever we are about to create an API, we have to make sure what's the entity. So let's close extra files, close others. Even wait, let's close this one. So we have to start with the entity. So what's the entity here? Employee. So we have this entity, ID, name, email, age. And how do I know it's entity? Because of this annotation at entity. Okay, so this class is responsible to connect with database. Clear. Okay, now next step is you have to make sure that everything is in repository. So it's already there. You don't have to write anything. We have all the basic CRUD operations covered by this interface JP repository. Even some advanced functions or methods are there, which is present for us. So you don't have to write a code. So this interface remains empty and it provides some built-in methods like we already used, save, update, delete. Okay, this is also done. And then we come across the service. That's the service. So employee service is here and we don't have that functionality here. It is not saying anything about delete. So let's do that. So if I have to delete, I'll say click void delete. By this example, I'm showing you how to write end-to-end call. We don't have an API, we don't have an API from front end, so I'm doing it everything for you, okay? Okay, so employee, then when we are about to delete an employee, so how you can remove it? We need some condition, right? What do you think? What should be the condition to remove employee? On what basis you should remove the employee? What you should take in argument?
on ID.
Correct. We have to take the ID. Correct. So on the ID basis, we will remove that ID, the employee. Okay, once you add this, the class which implements this interface start giving error. So it says add unimplemented method. We just created that. It is here. Fine. So it's going to be one line code, a really ultra simple code. So it goes like we have this employee uh, repo, and I'll just say delete by ID. See, we have the ID here, and I can pass ID and done. That's it. Just one line. It will be done. But it is not sufficient. Why? Because we are not giving validation. Maybe that user is not present. Then how will it work, right? Maybe that ID is not present in database. So to confirm, we need to get this thing done by like this. So I'll copy this. Okay, this is also possible in one line. Clear? But we have to verify whether that record is present in database or not. So that's the ID. I'll pass that ID here. We are fetching it by using emp deploy and find by ID. So we give the ID, it fetch the data from database by taking this ID, and we need this object as well. Oh, I don't think so. We need that. We are not going to suppose to. Or let's do one thing. Let's refactor it properly. I'm not going to take it void. I'll return that object. Whatever object we remove, we will return that what is removed. So it goes as a employee VO, not employee, because it goes to controller and controller never deals in entity level. Okay, there it is. So it verifies, okay, employee is here. If it is there, I'll also do this code inside. If it is there, only then delete the record. Otherwise, throw exception. Same, I can copy the same line. If employee equals to null, throw the exception. Okay, but if it won't go there, so I can take, I'm returning something. Yeah, there it is. I can take this code and return here. So if we have a record, so this object get initialized, and from here I'll get all that data, ID, name, age, email, and insert into employee view. And once it's done, I can return it to controller and done. Because we did this change, so I have to tell the service as well, the previous file. It was void, now it becomes employee view. Okay, so idea is when we delete, it returns which object is deleted. So that way we can clarify that this object is deleted. Okay, so this can be fixed by just ID. ID. Okay, code formatted, looks fine to me. And now we'll go back to control, the end. Once we have the logic, the business logic, we can create the endpoint. So here, let's save some time. Copied. It's going to be delete mapping. And now because we are using ID, so I can use path variable. Okay, and use ID here. I hope you remember this as well. Path variable. And here, path variable int ID. So this ID should be same as you're passing in this curly braces. And no more update. It's going to be delete employee and text ID, enter. So our endpoint is ready, and what happened here? Not imported. Import done. Okay. So no error at our backend side. Let's run the code. Right click, run as application, console. Okay. So service is up. So how we can verify? Endpoint remains same. I mean till employee, and we have to give the ID. So we already have one odd record ID 6. So I can give ID 6, and this 12 12 12 should be removed. Okay, so we can go back here, copy this URL, not this one because it's 42. We have to write it 8080 slash emp, and I'll give ID 6. Entered, and see what it says. See, we are getting response. That means API was successful, and if I cross check on console, it says select, that's fine. And if I go back to database, refresh, oh, it's not working. We got the response, but record is not deleted. Why that happened? Let's verify again. Is present, so get this and delete. Yep, that's what we did. Okay, why it didn't delete it? Employee repo is the same repo, right? Yeah, employee repo. Yes. Strange. Let's run this code in debug mode. Okay, so let's run the code in debug mode to verify what goes wrong here. Terminate, terminate, and let's run this code in debug. Right click, and this time not run as, I'll run as debug application. Okay, debug is up. Let's put the debugger here, enable debugger from here, and oh, wait a second. We have one endpoint which is for get, I guess. That's why this happened. Yeah, see? Okay, we have one record. Can you see here? It's emp and then
Yes.
ID. So it actually triggered that endpoint. So let's just modify the endpoint, and even this method name is not good. It's delete. No need to debug. I just realized. Okay, so let's change a little bit. I'll say delete. Fine. It's not standard way, but okay, I'm doing it. Because from browser we cannot tell what we are up to, right? We're not telling. It is get request or delete request. That delete is possible when you are using Postman. Or why we are doing this? So let me show you one thing. I just changed the method name. It remains emp ID. From browser, it is always get request. So if I run this code in from Postman, it will work. Fine. Let's verify again. Data is here. Reload. Yep. ID 6 with 12 record is there. And here emp, I'll say ID 6, and this time I'll make it delete there. Dismiss. Now we should see server down. Run on application. So you have to make sure that you are mentioning delete drive because browser doesn't understand delete. That's why we use this Postman tool to make it clear to the backend that we are looking for delete request. Although it looks same, but request type is different. Okay, should be up now. Request again. We're getting no response. I think I haven't written anything from controller. But if I cross check here, yep, ID6 is gone. Great. And here I have void. So I can return from here and this becomes employee view. Employee view. Okay. Just one change and it will work fine. Now we have to write front end code for this. And let's run this again. Okay, now I'm going back to front end part. Back end is done, and this will be simple enough. So on HTML, I'll create one more form with different name, so we can reuse the same component, and it will be a simple form. So and it needs just ID. So I'll copy this part. Uh, Form tag closed, and definitely we needed a button. So I'll call this and paste here, and make it delete. And no more age. It's going to be enter ID. It's going to be ID. So just one variable for form control, and it's going to be emp delete form. Okay, so it will be clear what we are up to. It will say delete emp. Okay, so this is done. Now I can take reference from previous examples. So I'll say delete form equals new form group, then bracket, then this, and this time we just have one variable ID. So I can say ID colon new form control, then this codes, and that's it. So we have our a new variability, or let's move it downside so it will be together. Okay, there we are for delete part. For delete API. Okay, you will not comment it down. Now we need to create that function delete emp, copy it, going back to TS, creating that function, and here let's console it first of all. We have to verify whether we are able to fetch that ID or not. Console.log. So how to fetch it? Okay, I forgot to create its getter, the ID getter. Like we have get email, get name. Likewise, we have to create get ID, get ID. Uh, D. Okay, so we are getting one error. Let's see what is that. Delete form. Oh, I just use delete form. It's employee delete form and employee delete form. Okay, now should be complete. Okay, great. Okay, so here I have how to print ID. So things remain same. It goes like emp delete form dot value. Okay, done. Let's go back to UI and see how it looks like. There it is, delete ID. Let's clear the console. And if I enter 11 and click delete, yes, I can see, yeah, we have the ID. But thing is, it is passing in an object. As soon as you can see the curly brace, that means it's an object. But what our API is expecting, see again, it doesn't have any body. It is not expecting any object. It is expecting one ID within, parameter, within URL with the name ID. So variable could be anything, but we cannot pass the whole object because it doesn't take body. Body looks like this, request body. So I have to just print ID, even not this curly braces. So how we can do that? I'll just need to go further, and after value I say value dot ID. That's it. And if I go back, clear this and give 11 again, okay, it's better now. See, I am just fetching the value. I don't need to print the whole object, curly brace, then ID, and that becomes an object. So we are supposed to pass only integer value. Okay, so now we can use it. So how to use it? Again, that emp data form. Oh, I think I forgot to create service. Yes, I forgot. So we can do that easily. It's ultra simple because we have created two endpoints. I'll just say delete employee. This time data is not data, it's actually an ID, and no need to pass this curly brace. Even we have to change the method. It's going to be delete, and delete doesn't needs anybody. It says okay, whatever you have, just pass it. So this endpoint remains same, right? Till here, till emp, it is fine, but I have to put slash and that dynamic ID. So what I'll do, I'll put slash and then plus the ID I'm getting from this TS file. So now I can call this delete employee from here emp data dot delete employee, and here I can pass that ID which we are getting here. So this whole line I can copy and paste here, and once this API is successful, I need to subscribe that, put a bracket and one more bracket which says response, and this it becomes an arrow icon, and I can console whatever the response is coming up, I can print that here. So response, okay, it's code formatted, looks fine, build is successful, yes, build is successful. Okay, let's try this code again. So clear and network clear. So we have these records. Let's try to record the second ID, the second one, ID2. So I'll give the ID2 and I'll say delete. Can you see? I'm getting the response. That means record should be deleted. The record is deleted and I'm getting the response from the backend. And if I refresh, yep, ID is gone. Okay, so that's how we uh, create end-to-end API call. So in front of you, I have created delete API and called it from Angular side. And this was easy because yesterday we have created a service tag which was responsible for calling that API directly by using this HTTP library. And we were calling this function from our working term component. So because I don't want to create multiple components, so I use the same component for other purpose. And how we are getting records from this. And if I reload the page, you can see it's still this is not updated. I have to reload that, and you can see now it is uploaded. Just three records in the database. Kiran, Krish, J. These are same here. Okay, so that's it for today's class. We are done with the API calls end to end.